Hi guys, happy Valentine's Day. What a perfect day to start a new series on color blending. I want to thank everyone for such a fantastic reception for the blending system. We had tons of people who signed up for it, and some people wrote to me that they want to actually have a physical book, and we're looking into doing that too. Some people want the polychromo set, and I want to tell you guys that it is coming, and it's coming very soon. It'll probably be by the end of the month. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the system and how it came about. I had this idea for a very long time, probably up to a year. I've been mulling it over in my head. And then Valentine had asked a question that I really needed it. So I went out and I found a graphic designer, and his name is Abby Sincock. And we did work through the computer. I found him on Fiverr, and I had originally just wanted him to straighten my lines. He did that, and we just developed a relationship going on, and he kept doing what they call over there gigs until the entire project was finished. He was so easy to work with and so quick. Sometimes he was quicker than me. He's already said hello in my last video in the comment section. So it was really nice to see that he's here watching his good work out there, and he's agreed to help me with the Polychromos book, and we should have it done fairly soon. So let's start. We're going to begin today with Dahlia Purple. For those of you who have the system, you're going to go to page 167, and you're going to print out page 167, 168, and 169. And all you do is go to the little tab at the top, and you'll find them on every page, and that will tell you the page to print. There is a table of contents if you haven't seen it already. That will list where you will find Dahlia Purple. We looked at this yesterday, the swatching sheet, and where I told you to do the blending from the darkest to the lightest and have the lightest end with white. I didn't get into some of the reasons why I wanted you to do this and how important it is to do this particular sheet. When you spread it out and you dilute the color out, you will be able to see its undertones. Okay? So here we have Dahlia Purple. You could clearly see that when you blend it out, that Dahlia Purple hails more on the red side. And that's very important. Now, if you look at Parma Violet, you could tell when you spread it out and you dilute it out that it is hailing more on the blue. So these two are right next to each other in the color chart, and the color chart goes in order of the color blending. This comes out from Prismacolor. I remained with their recommended numbers and their recommended order. So you can clearly see that this is hailing on the bluer side, and this definitely hails more on the redder side. And that's going to become very important in today's lesson. This means that it's going to blend well with colors that blend well with red. And as we already know, red does not mix well with anything with green. Now, it doesn't mean that it doesn't look good in a color scheme or a palette. It just means that it doesn't mix well together. When you take the colors and that make up the red, and you take the colors that make up the green, and you put them together, it's not attractive. So we're going to know that everything that we're going to mix with the green is going to come out to be muddy, except one, and we'll go over that. So I'm going to take this aside, and we're going to bring up our color pods. Now, I've filled them all out for you so that we can look at the individual colors, but you'll have an opportunity to take a look. I would print these out while you're watching me so that you could just check it off. And then later on, you can make another copy that's neat and go and fill in the ones that you specifically like. Purple on the bluer side will definitely mix a little bit better with the greens because blue mixes with greens. They're analogous or next to each other on the color scale. Not great, but better. Where from this way on, not so much. So let's go back to the beginning, which is the cream. Every pencil has a different feel, in the Prismacolor box, and you've probably already noticed it just picking up the pencils and using them. Some are more pigmented. Some take a much heavier hand to reach full saturation. And I found when using this pencil that it was very creamy and very easy to get a saturation. So easy you have to be careful with it. So just mark a red mark on it, on your paper, that you can go a little bit too heavy more than too light, especially if you start using a lighter pigmented pencil. Then all of a sudden you start using the Dahlia Purple and it's like you went too heavy-handed. Start out really light with this. It can get very dark. We started off mixing it with cream, and it definitely does go with the cream. It starts to bring out the red in it. The red will come down and give you an orange hue, and the purple mixing into orange would be in your fire color, and it definitely is a good match with cream. Warning, cream is one of those colors that are not heavily pigmented, and to really be able to see the cream color, you have to go a little heavy. This swatch was a little bit more difficult to do. If I wanted to do the same type of swatch, I might go with egg, because egg is very creamy. That's that. With cream is a definite yes. Dahlia Purple tends to dominate. So whatever you have on your page, the dominant color, if you're mixing it with Dahlia, is going to be the Dahlia. Artichoke is definitely starts to have green into it. In fact, I even tried it with a blending color in between. This is probably not a color I would choose to use at all. This combination. And here comes the egg. The eggshell, absolutely. It mixed very nicely because the eggshell is a very creamy color. And you will notice that immediately when you pick up this pencil. And it blended very nicely with the Dahlia Purple. Just be careful on your saturation. It will dominate it. Now you're moving on into your yellows. The yellows look nice with the Dahlia Purple. It brings out an orange in it. And the reason why is because it has red in it. The red is going to dominate into the yellow, mix into the yellow, and you're going to get an orange. So as you go towards these colors here, it's going to become very orange. And whichever one you choose will be your brightest. I like this combination. I especially like Pale Vermilion. Pale Vermilion is another color that I enjoy using because it's so creamy. Now you have the reds. Now, I didn't find the reds to be all that attractive because the pure color in the reds it's very dominating itself. Okay, so I sort of see it like a fight when you're doing these color combinations. So when you get it, you have to really look at what you see in the blend. The blend is going to be very dark and very nondescript. So to go into using the purple with the red, I would be maybe a little bit on the page. Don't plan on doing a large area. I would never do, say, the skirt on a dress as mixed color of red and Dahlia. As you lighten up and you get into the pinks, this is definitely where this color shines. You've got that red, purple mixing, and it looks very pretty. This is a flower color, goes with the flower schemes. Starting to get it into the peaches and the seashell. This really didn't do anything except dominate the color. It's not going to hurt your picture. It's just not a color that I would just pick up and say, oh, that's what I need to make my picture pop. Salmon pink is definitely a yes. It was beautiful. It brought out a lot of the oranges in the salmon. Salmon being a creamy color, it blended very nicely. Again, be careful that if you're going to blend these two colors together, that the Dahlia does not dominate. So you might want to use 2 parts salmon to 1 part Dahlia. Really didn't do much for me as we're going into the beiges and the clay roses. It just basically dominated. Now you're mixing it into the browns. You're really not going to get much of a look. If you're looking on your pictures, it's 2 dark colors mixed together. You're not going to get anything but a dark color. and it's really a nondescript color. It's not too bad with the raspberry, because the raspberry is a little bit lighter, but I would definitely get a white into that if I was going to use it and lighten it up, or it's just going to look dark. Now you have your purples. Your purple with your purple, of course, that's going to mix. So any of the purples will go very nicely with the dahlia. And you have your flower colors, your lavender, your lilac, your black cherry, and your black raspberry really did very dark. It didn't do much for that. So I would definitely go with these three colors as a yes. And that's the grade lavender, the lilac, and the Parma Violet. Parma Violet is starting to get into the blues. It's still looking good. The red is going to pick up. So it was very pretty going into the blues. Some of them are like black grape, dioxazine purple mix. It's purple hue. They're very dark. You're not going to get much out of it as far as the wow factor on your picture. But where you will is as it moves through the blues, it's got a very pretty look to it. So I've used this when you're doing anything with jeweled colors. It's a very pretty mix. And then I let it dominate on this color, electric blue. Done this in a larger space. Electric blue is a definite yes. Looks very nice with it. And then you have into your true blue. Your lighter colors, be careful it does not dominate. And you can see that it does. When it dominates, it's going to just take over it unless you really control your pencil. And we're going to continue through the blues. Your peacock blue was amongst my favorite. Add a little white into that and it's just beautiful. And you have your powder blues. They're really just starting to look the same. Nothing, your indigo blue, if you don't have white in there with your indigo, it's just going to start looking black. And you can see in the middle, it's really too dark, and most people won't distinguish between the two colors, especially if you don't have somebody who's color sensitive. They're not going to really see anything here. Non-photo blue, it's a very pretty mixed color. And the light aqua it starts to get into a very nice blue-purple color. Just don't let it dominate. Now here you have the greens. And I want to skip over this for a minute. All of these colors did not mix well into the dahlia. They were really became very muddy. And you would understand that because the color chart, you don't mix the purple and the green. You're going to get brown. You're going to get mud. But there was an exception. And if I zoom into these two, the chartreuse and the lime peel, who would have thought you get a beautiful brown in there. This is sort of like a sienna or a burnt ochre. It is not the same as those two colors at all. You're going to be very surprised. Sienna and burnt ochre, this kind of fits right in the middle, but it's more on a redder side. And you add that to any sort of tree, grass, and it's going to mix very well. It does very well for a ground cover. And you can even do objects with this color. And it's an immediate turn. It's not something that you have to blend hard. As soon as you put down the purple and you put that green over it, it immediately, that line turns brown. So put a big check mark next to the chartreuse and the lime peel. They're definitely ones that you should investigate. Okay, again, this is a very true green, and the dahlia make a good palette. If you look, they look very nice together. It's flowery, it's nature. Mixed together, which is in the middle, is mud. And you have mud going all through out when you get into the grays. They just don't make an attractive color. Now our last sheet, you're getting into your putties, your umbers, your browns. Yeah, it's going to mix into the browns. I much rather create something with it than to mix it, because it just becomes a different shade of brown, and that brown you really can't control. So I really keep it away from that. And now you mix it into the grays. It does not mix into gray well. Basically, you're going to just shadow into your grays with it. I wouldn't do any sort of really blending. You could tone it down with the gray, which is different. That's putting a light layer over the top of it so that it looks like there's a shadow with that color coming through the bottom. If you're going to shadow it, I would go with the warm, because it's got the red in it, which is a warmer color. It really, because it sits on the cusp, it will look okay with the cool gray or the warm gray, just because it sits on that line. Where it really looks kind of is when you get into your French grays. There is no reason to put French gray over this purple. Not a good mix. It's dark gray. It's sepia-like. And then, of course, you start to get into your specialty colors at the end. And, of course, it mixes with white. I would not blend it with any of the metallics. The metallics really do not blend well. They're better off in a palette than being mixed. If you mix anything into your metallics, you're going to just get dirt on top of your metallic shine. So this is just not something you need to even do. Cross them off. Don't even bother. Just don't do it. Where it does look nice is with your bronze and with your gold when it sits next to it. So if you're doing any sort of jewelry and you're using amethyst and gold, that's fine. Anything that has jeweled colors, the metal colors will look good sitting next to it. And then you have your neons. Now, the neon pink does look well with Dahlia. And this is a better color. If you're going to make this mix, add in a raspberry. Raspberry acts as a buffer color where the neon is a little bit too bright, and you also lose that brightness. It becomes like an overcast on the neon. But if you add in a raspberry, and specifically the raspberry, write that down. This 3-color mix is just, it makes the picture shock. It gives you this light value that's absolutely beautiful. I use this a lot in ribbons. This is a specific one that I do use a lot. You can get that same shock value with the orange. Just remember, this is going to be a very high orange. This and this have a lot of the yellow in it, and you can tell. And that takes us through the entire box of yeses and nos. And we got through our first video. Okay, there's one last thing I need to ask you guys, and please put it in the comments below. I've talked about this woman before. Her name is Barbie from Barbie's Playhouse. She's my frenemy. Now, what do I mean by that? We are friends. Listen, I'm going to cut a bitch for her. Okay? She's a sweetheart. But we have this type of relationship, and it's a playful one. She's the only one that I'm like this with. We just love to compete with each other. We will flip dimes just to see who gets heads and who has tails. We will do it all. We like to tease each other. It's the nature of our our relationship is to do this. So we're in a contest. Now, I'm going to be putting up a video that's not so nice, but it's not mean. It's more on the funny, dicey side, because after all, it's a contest with her. It's for bragging rights only. We don't win anything. Me and her have been doing this, I think, for years. She always ends up cheating. It's funny. We laugh. So the video that I am going to be putting up is not really coloring related, but kind of coloring cool. But it's got a little bit of adult in it. So I hope you guys don't mind if you prefer me to put an adult. It's not like naked adult. Well, sort of naked adult. If you don't mind a little bit of over 18, and I mean a little bit, on this channel, I'll put it here and you guys can laugh along with it. If you do mind, just let me know in the comments section below and I'll put it on another channel. It's just between me and her and a handful of my friends who judge the contest, our judges, and we just have a laughing time about it. So I just don't know where to put the video, and it's coming up tomorrow. It's due tomorrow. So if you don't mind it on this channel, let me know. And if you do mind it on this channel, let me know, so that I don't want to ruin the integrity putting something that's a little bit more 18 when this channel is definitely G-rated. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you liked the first one. And take care. Keep coloring. Do those swatches. Teacher says that's the homework. Take care. Bye-bye.